Hello and welcome back to my continuation of my book reading of Stephen King's The Body. Chapter 4, A Jar of Pennies. Vern Tessio had been under the front of his house digging. Before I go any further, I better tell you why he was digging there. And even before I tell you that, I better tell you that Vern and Teddy were about equal in intelligence. In not having very much intelligence, that is, Vern's brother, Billy, was even more stupid. As you'll see. 4 years ago, when he was 8, Vern buried a jar of pennies under the front of his house, in the dark space he called his cave. He was playing a game about robbers. And they were hiding the pennies from the police. He drew a map which showed where the jar was, put it in his room, and forget about nearly a month. Then one day, when he wanted to go and see a film and he didn't have enough money, he remembered about the pennies and went to find the map. But his mother had tidied his room and taken away the map along with old magazines and other rubbish. She had used them to start a fire in the kitchen the next morning, so Vern's map went up the kitchen chimney. Ever since then, Vern had looked for a jar of pennies. They added up to only about $3. But as the years passed, and Vern became more and more desperate about these pennies of his, the jar held something as much as $10. He never found the place where he had buried them. Sometimes we tried to tell him what was obvious to us, that his big brother Billy had known about the jar and had dug it up himself. But Vern refused to believe this, although he hated Billy. He also refused to ask Billy about it. Probably he was afraid that Billy would laugh and say, "Of course I took them, you stupid pussy." And there were $20 in the jar, and I spent it all. Anyway, he was digging there early that Friday morning when he heard the screen door open and shut above him. He kept very quiet. He heard Billy's friend, Charlie Hogan, say, "Jesus Christ, Billy, what are we going to do?" Now, Charlie was one of the hardest guys in town. He was in some gang as Ace Merrill and Eyeball Chambers, so he had to be hard. So as soon as Vern heard him talk like that, he was very interested. Something big was happening. "Nothing," Billy said. "That's what we're going to do, nothing." "But didn't you see him?" Charlie asked, or Charlie said. "It must be that boy in the news. On the radio, the one called Brower or something." "Christ, Billy, the tree must have hit him." "Yeah, right," Billy agreed. "And you puked." "It was lucky the girls didn't see him. They would have told everyone. Do you think they guessed something was wrong?" "No," said Charlie. "Mary doesn't like to go down that Buck Harlow road anyway. She thinks it's frightening out there." "But it's a pity we stole the car, Billy. Now we can't tell the police because they would ask us how we get to Harlow District without a car or our own. And I puked on my new shoes. The guy was just living there. The guy was just lying there." "Did you see him, man?" They finished their cigarettes and went off to find Ace. "Are we going to tell Ace, Billy?" Charlie asked as they walked away. "Man, we aren't even going to tell anyone?" said Billy. As soon as Vern was sure that they were really gone, he ran all the way to our treehouse with the news. And that was the end of chapter 4, A Jar of Pennies. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.